Welcome back to another episode of Shit That Goes On in Our Heads. Today, we are with Mr. M for Season 2, Episode 6, The Evolution of Mr. M. Let me do it again, because I didn't like the with Mr. M, Evolution of Mr. M. It's too much. Too much. Okay.
It was kind of clunky.
All right, ready? All right, ready? Get your shit together, girl.
Chapter 1.
Welcome back to another episode of Shit That Goes On in Our Heads. How you doing?
I am well.
Now. You're well. What did you say when I first saw you? You said, I'm awake and not crying.
Oh, yeah. I said I'm awake and not crying. That's true. That is something that I have been prone to say lately in meetings and to close friends and or anyone who will listen. So, yeah.
I'm totally stealing that, by the way, because I never know what to say when people are like, how are you doing? I'm like, I usually will go like hanging in there or like just living the dream.
Right.
But now.
Right. My other thing that I say is fine. It's fine. Just like that. No change in that affectation. It's always fine. It's fine.
Hearing you now say it's fine reminds me when I first met you. We worked together at it was my first tech company, and I remember shadowing you for whatever reason on one day.
I don't remember why you would do that.
I don't remember either. And I remember sitting behind you, and I think you introed it like, welcome, this is like my world of pain or something. And like you were sitting in your chair and just like, I was like, oh my gosh, who is this character? Like, who is this person?
I became known for slinking low in my desk chair with my monitors soaring over me. Like basically laying down while working. And that has unfortunately followed me to this day, as I can't never seem to mount my monitors in the right spot.
Yeah, G-Rex, his cubicle the two of you could have a competition of cubicles, because we've talked about your cubicle in previous episodes where you had a roof and a curtain. There was like all this stuff
I never
happening.
Had any of that, no.
It was badass.
He had a fireplace. So I mean,
God.
Yes, that is true. It was an electric fireplace that we had brought into the office. A coworker of mine had brought into the office, and we kind of set it up in the back, and then she left, and then I absorbed it, and then we were no longer allowed to plug it in, because I think we had also taken out half the electrical in the office. Bizzle, were you around for that? You were. Okay, good. So I think we had taken out the electrical in the office, and they were like, yeah, you could never do that again. I think, and the fire chief had come through, and so then we put a picture, a photocopy of flames in the front of the fireplace, and then that is how it stayed for the remainder of my tenure there. And then I actually bequeathed it to whomever was taking my spot in that desk at that point. So I don't know whatever happened with that fireplace, but yep.
I'm just saying, G-Rex, meet your match.
We could have made a cabin together.
Yeah, we could have. That's true.
Awesome.
Yeah. That would have
Roast
been awesome.
marshmallows in the office. That's the same reason that everybody got told to turn off their heaters in the office, too. It's because we kept shorting out the electric.
This thing had like a heating coil. You could literally, it would glow.
Wow.
We were not doing good things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, that's
on
right.
the same circuit, basically.
Yeah, all the servers were on the same circuit in a closet. I forgot about that.
Bad idea, friends. Bad idea.
So, I mean, that kind of like intros like how my impression of who you were when I first met you was like this person with a fireplace and his cubicle that introduced it as like his house of pain or whatever it was. And then
so a bit eccentric is what you're saying.
Yeah, but I mean, I loved it because I gravitate towards different and new and refreshing, right? Like that's kind of the type of friends I think that we have, at least thinking of our friend group is pretty much like that.
They are a very diverse group of individuals.
Yeah.
Is that how you
G-Rex
got
included.
sunk into me? Because
yeah.
I'm a little eccentric.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly. Like I definitely love that stuff. So yeah, I mean, kind of giving a quick little intro, like that's how we know each other. You're definitely, I would say, while you're still the same person now, a little different, a little bit more life experience under your belt.
Indeed.
And that's kind of why we have you here today. You have a very interesting story in terms of like who is Mr. M today?
Yeah, right. Well, mildly successful, but I've had a lot of changes in my life. I don't think I've had longer than a 7-year period in my life that has been identical, right? So, when I first, because that original company was also my first tech job as well, but a few years prior to that, it was 2009. Prior to that, I'd worked for a huge mega corporation that operates theme parks in Orlando, Florida. And
There's only two that you can guess from.
I was in charge of about $1 million worth of camera equipment and only making $12.43 an hour. Right, and I was personally responsible for that equipment to a degree. Obviously my leader was ultimately responsible for them, but he would put all the onus on me if something were to happen. Like if there a bin of cameras were to catch on fire, that would be my problem. So I was only making $12.43, and then I wasn't gonna reference this person very much, but I have been married several times. This is my first wife. She basically said, "You need to find a better job." Like that was literally the conversation. She was like, "We cannot live with both of us," because she also worked for the same mega corporation operating theme parks in Orlando, Florida, in a different role, making a little bit more than I was. And she's like, we can't do this. This isn't working. And so she, had agreed to try to find other employees. Well, it wasn't a one-sided thing, right? But that's how I ended up at First Company, through some references and my background, 11 years at that company, at the huge mega corporation operating theme parks in Orlando, Florida. So I gotten into this position, and I kind of, every time I change something in my life, I always go, "Oh God, what have I gotten myself into?" And that's, happened quite frequently, throughout my life. But really, the story really starts is right when, that relationship, with wife number one was ending. We had kind of, grown, apart. I mean, that's a common refrain, right? You've grown apart. You no longer have the same values. You no longer are going in the same direction as far as your life trajectory. I was content working in the role that I was in at this, the company where you and I met. Mm-hmm. And they wanted to go back to school, and so we set up our lives for them to be able to do that. And through schooling, they realized that they were not happy with their station in life and where they were, and decided to want to make a change. And then we had this, I still remember this conversation. We were walking around the campus of the school she was enrolled in at the time. And she's like, "I will look for schools where you want to live. It just can't be Florida." And I went, "But my family's here, and we own a house here. All of our friends are here. Why?
Right.
Why do you want to, do this?" And she couldn't answer that per se. I mean, I'm sure she had her reasons, and, and that's all fine. But it was that kind of moment that I was like, well, I don't know how we're going to resolve this. And then so that was probably in August or maybe even October of 2011. And by January 1 of 2012, I remember I was sitting in our living room. She wakes up, looks at me and says, "I'm not ready to have this conversation yet." And then goes use the bathroom and then goes back to bed and gets up a couple hours later and was like, "Hi, so I want to separate."
Wow.
And I was like, "Oh, oh, okay. I guess.
Right? Was that actually the response?
I mean, I wasn't like upset. Like, and that's kind of how like, like it's over, right? Is like you go,
okay.
Huh. Yeah, I guess. I suppose, but what does that mean for all of the stuff that we own together and that we'd already sold our house that we owned together. So, and I think that was part of her trying to shore up herself so that way she could make that declaration at some point in the future. And again, I don't begrudge her any of that, right? Like, in fact, that was a relief. I mean, I know I wasn't happy. She wasn't happy. And it just wasn't a good fit any longer. So, we continued to live together for several months, like 5 months after that. And she was trying to get herself to be able to go and move back up north, be with her family, go to school. So, we just kind of lived separate lives in the same space, for a period of time. And just kind of held on for dear lives until that change was able to happen. And my God, what a sense of relief once that was over. We're still friends on Facebook, which is hilarious to me because we're both so damn stubborn that I think we're just like we're okay with just hanging out like that, right? I only interact with her posts if it's like something about someone I know, and it's very rare, and it's usually like when her grandmother passed away. I was like, oh, I'm really sorry. Right. This person was a really good person. We had a cat together that passed away. So I was like, oh, I'm really glad to hear that she was loved, that kind of thing. Right. So like, like that kind of stuff. Right. So, and that's just
being a decent human.
I'm trying to be a decent human, right? Like I don't have, like I said, I do not hold a negative emotion in my body about her other than how we interacted together against each other, right?
Yeah.
And that's a big regret. And it wasn't like there was any yelling or screaming or anything. It was just, we were never honest with each other, right? We were never the moment of honesty came when she was like, I want a separation. And I was like, okay. And that's kind of where we set off from there, and I remember also another thing where like after we had separated and we're going through the divorce, and like there was something to do with our phone plan, and like she was trying to move her phone to another plan, and like she called me up and I was like, okay, yeah, what do I need to do here? What do I need to give you to get this to happen? And she was like, I can't believe you're being this cool about stuff. And I'm like, I don't know. I just, what good would it do me to be a jerk?
Right.
Just to screw with you? I mean, no, I'm not that kind of I'm not just going to try to screw with you, right? Like, you have to give me real good reason to even act on. I mean, I have thoughts. Oh man, I have thoughts, but but to actually act on it, no, not in the slightest.
It's not worth your time.
Not worth my time. Not worth anyone's time, really. So,
Mr. M, I have a question for you. Yeah,
please.
So was your family really were they supportive of you and helping kind of get through this, or
here's the kicker is that my mother said to me, well, we never really thought she was a good fit for you anyway. Like, cool, you could have said that 8 years ago.
Yeah, but that's one of those journeys,
it's one of those things, right? That you're like, if I heard, like, I mean, as a shithead 24-year-old, I would have been like, you don't know what you're talking about, Mom. I'm in love.
Right. It's one of those things. Yeah.
I know what I'm doing. Leave me alone.
Right. I'm an adult. I can almost rent a car. Like. So yes, they were supportive in that they were like, "Hey, we're happy. We're gonna help you out to get through this. If you need assistance with, like, I don't know, like if you need a couple bucks here or there to help, like offset the cost of things, then fine, we'll do that." And they did, and that's. I was very lucky to have parents that were able to do that and family able to do that. But then cue the really the second act of my life, chapter 2.
The single Mr. M.
I mean, right. Mr. M on his own was only single 3 months, 2 months.
I mean, it felt fast for the friend group. Like we were like, oh, but we were also very supportive because
Yeah.
as soon as we met who you'll talk about next, like it was a breath of fresh air. And I think it's because when I met you in your first relationship, you can just tell like it's a heavy feeling. Like there's a vibe there that's just like bringing the group down a little bit. And so when we met who he's going to talk about next, it was just like,
Right.
Okay.
Completely different person. Completely different.
It was like
person.
Somebody turned the lights on in a house.
Right.
It was like, whoa, so bright in here. I love it. Yeah.
Right. And in fact, a lot of my sense of worth and style, even I feel like came from this relationship. Right. So, you and G-Rex are commenting at the the room we're sitting in now. We're sitting in a gallery with artwork, and a lot of that and the pieces that are here, yes, while they are a direct reflection of myself and my current partner, a lot of my sense of style and being drawn to pieces such as this were because of that relationship I had.
That's so interesting.
Right.
It's like to me it sounds like, and this could be totally wrong, but it sounds like you found who you were.
Correct.
That
so is absolutely
interesting.
Correct. Yep. As I was finally able to breathe and figure out, I wasn't just trying to placate someone, right? I wasn't just trying to find a little bit of something that I could hang on to. I was literally finally able to just be like, express an opinion about something and not be shot down.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really
so
awesome.
happy.
That's super important in any relationship.
So you had a chance to just be you and figure out who you were.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, it really gave me a sense of who I could be. Right. And I liked that. It was a good feeling. Now, that relationship, actually is still ongoing, not in a like a polyamorous kind of way, because there's a whole reason why she is still around. So I mean, I suppose I should probably kind of elaborate and explain on that. So when wife number 2 and I had met, one of the very first things that we talked about was how she considered herself to be pansexual. So meaning attraction to anyone regardless of what their meat suit looks like, right? And I thought, okay, that's cool. Yeah, I've been on dates with women. I'm like, great, awesome, no problem. That's awesome. That's good for you. I love it. And there was never any like thinking about like, oh, that's so weird or so wrong or right. Nothing like that. Nothing ever like that. I was always very supportive. And in fact, at points in our relationship, I would say, do you miss this or do you miss that? Right. And it was usually just no, but she has had a journey as well. But not to downplay anything and not to kind of fast forward, but really this person is they came along. I was able to transition to basically the person I am today. They made me a better person.
Yeah.
They made me just by existing, right? Just by wanting to be able to meet them in a way, right? Was all of that. However, big asterisk. The reason why things changed is that after a while, she would say to me, I do not like the way I look. I do not like the way I feel. And so that put intimacy on a hold with her. And whenever we did have physical intimacy, that it always felt forced and nothing natural about it. So, and that I would say that probably started happening around 2015, 2016, was when that really got in full swing. I remember the moment very vividly, when my life kind of flipped upside down with her. was I had been somewhere. It might have been a work conference, or I was out with friends, or what have you. And I came home, and she was sitting in bed, sitting straight up, and said, "We need to talk."
Ooh.
And when you hear those words,
yeah, you just gave me goosebumps
from your romantic partner, or your life, person, your life partner, your spouse, what have you, it's bone chilling, right?
Yeah.
It is just like, oh, what's gonna happen? And I thought the words were gonna be, "I want a divorce." The words were not, "I want a divorce." The words were a little different. They were, "I'd like to open our relationship."
Okay.
And then she gave me a list of reasons. And the main reason is that she felt very attracted to women and wanted to explore that. I was like, okay, I mean, and then she immediately went, "Oh, and then you could date too." I'm like, and you could date guys. And I'm like, I don't think it works that way. Like,
she just wanted you to know you had options.
Right, and exactly. And well, that's true. And I'll probably get into that in a minute. But she came, to me and was like, "Let's, we can do that." So, at the time, she was also prepping for some life-altering surgery, not gender affirming or anything like that. It was a gastric type of surgery. And so she had been on a couple dates, this or that. She started seeing someone who lived 4 hours away, and that didn't work out. And I'm pretty sure that that she was the side chick, not the woman she was seeing, but
herself,
but wife two's. Was the side, and because it just, everything felt sketchy.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, please.
As you're saying this portion of it, I'm very curious how I can totally understand a life partner and this person that is you care so much for and being supportive. But did you feel any sort of way, like hurt or?
Oh yeah, I mean, there were times where I'd cry myself to sleep.
Okay.
Just literally because it wasn't so much that I was sad. I was overwhelmed with emotion.
Yeah.
Right. Because it was like, I knew that things were changing, and that was scary.
Yeah.
Right. And that it wasn't like, "Oh, woe is me, poor me." But a lot, sometimes it was like, I just wish she would call me, like if she was on a date or whatever. I just need you to just tell me you're safe. Right. Like, it wasn't like I'm so upset and mad at this, right? Like, it was never anything like that. It was always just like, I was just overcome with feeling like worried and upset and kind of unmoored, right? Like I didn't know what was going to happen. And that was the part that was the most like unnerving. Right. So yeah, no, totally. I would never sit here and say, "Oh no, I was fine." I was not fine. There was a lot of I had gotten back into writing for a bit. Whenever I'm going through a time of change is when I write a ton. I just word vomit all over pages. Just trying to get some form of thought. It's almost like a type of therapy, right? To just get all of this stuff out of my body so that I can then examine it,
right?
And go, what am I really feeling here, right? And that's how I would kind of approach all of that. And so, I mean, there's probably some very cringy things that I have stored in my phone somewhere.
Roses are red.
No.
I'm just kidding.
I don't know. I'd have to go back. It'd have to be years I'd go back now and look, but.
So I can interject here, Mr. M. I went through something similar on my side. So prior to my current wife, my former partner came out to me and said that she wanted to be with men. Mm-hmm. Now, we had been together for 5 years. Yeah, and it sucked. And it hurt a lot. And, my fear for her was, because it was, practicing unsafe sex, things like that, going out on dates with men that she'd never met before. And yeah, it hurt like hell. But, on the other side of that, I'm now with my current wife, and we've been together for 28 years. So probably it was meant to be. And she ended up getting married and having a son. And But yeah, it hurt like hell. It like, here you have something with a partner, and you're all in, and they want to be all out. So yeah, I totally get it.
Right. I mean, that's was a lot of how I was feeling. Right. It was a lot of just like uncertainty. Right. And not necessarily rejection, but definitely rejection of my physicality. Right. It wasn't personal.
Right.
Right. And so personalizing it, at first was kind of how you get by it, right? You're like, oh, this is terrible. I hate it. Everything sucks. But then when I would start to examine it from an outside perspective, right? And that's what I always try to do, is try to be empathetic, is figure out, well, how does this person feel and what factors are affecting them? It's not easy. It doesn't come ultimately natural to me, but it is more natural nowadays, right? As I can go, well, they're having some trouble with this thing in their life, and that's obviously coloring what's going on here. And it's kind of trying to remember that that no one's thinking about you directly. The only person thinking about you directly is you. Right? So like remembering like, hey, this thing that feels real personal, it's probably not. Maybe 25%, but probably not most of it, right? Like, it's not personal. It's something it's a journey they're on. They got to figure out their stuff. So, right. I mean, right. It does suck, though. It sucks being on the receiving end of that. For sure.
For sure. Like 100%.
Yeah. I mean, right. I never want to go through that again.
It almost sounds like you were both a blessing to each other, though, because while she helped you be yourself, you were also on
doing
the other end.
Same for her.
Right.
Yes. And in fact, so that leads me then to 2 days before my birthday in 2019, in January. She says, we need to talk. Right. And I went, here it comes. And she says, I think I'm a lesbian. And I went, yeah, no shit.
You're like, welcome.
I was like, I figured this out months ago. That's why I've been having such a hard time and feeling so overwhelmed, is because I know you're attracted to women that look like me without a beard. She's totally into the butch and soft butch aesthetic.
Hey, I get it, man.
I guess it's not my deal, but fine. Right. And then so her next questions were, well, what do you want to do about it? And I was like, I don't know. I mean, this is not brand new information, but coming from you, it's brand new information. She's like, well, do you want a divorce? And I said, no. I said, our relationship works. And we were living in separate rooms at the time. Like, we had already decided that was the best plan of action, or we were going to live in separate rooms. I think it was just like kind of like this inciting incident was that. And, so, we just decided like, hey, we're going to be a married entity, legal entity, but we are going to live our romantic lives separately, and we'll come together for like, holidays and family and dinner and all that kind of stuff. And that worked, sort of.
This concludes part 1 of episode 6, where we leave you with an exciting cliffhanger. Join us next week to hear the exciting conclusion to the story of Mr. M.
It's okay to be not okay. Just make sure you're talking to someone.